Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, who live your shows, nice artists, peasants, vassals. I'm a useful idiot, and today I want to talk about Mayor Bloomberg. I want to warn everyone now, if you have a low tolerance for profanity, turn back now. So, fucking Mayor Michael Bloomberg has come out and said now that the country's interpretation of the Constitution will have to change to allow for greater security to stave off future attacks, quote unquote. And the whole speech is pretty audacious. I'm going to tear it apart, limb from limb, until blood comes gushing from the stumps, because that's what Mayor Bloomberg deserves. The overall picture, the overall tone here is a completely out of touch, rich asshole who has all of his security needs met, both in his personal and professional life, and then some. And he doesn't mind having a surveillance and police society because it's him controlling everything, as well as the fact that he doesn't have to live in that sort of environment. Those like him have their privacy protected by all the forces that government and corporations can muster. So he has no reason to talk. But for him to suggest that the Constitution needs to be reinterpreted in order to stave off future attacks, there's two problems there. First of all, the Constitution is not a document for convenience. And the very fact of the matter is that the Constitution was written to protect us from assholes just like Mayor Michael Bloomberg. And that's the truth of it. And it is not a document for convenience. And the Founding Fathers understood this. And the times have changed, the technology has changed, but these events are nothing new. And the other thing is that this will allow for greater security to stave off future attacks. So all the security that we have now does not stave off future attacks, and particularly because there's this gray area, because this Boston bombing is actually more of a crime than an act of terrorism. So that is another problem here. But let me go on to the rest of this rich asshole Mayor Michael Bloomberg's speech that he gave on Monday. Here's the next quote. Quote, "The people worried about privacy have a legitimate worry. Thank you, Michael Bloomberg. But we live in a complex world where you're going to have a level of security greater than you did back in the old days." Unquote. So first of all, yes, he is correct. The people worried about privacy have a legitimate worry because privacy is now over. And I love the way he talks to everyone like they're children, but that's what a rich asshole would do, to say that we live in a complex world. And what does he mean by back in the good old days? The good old days, you mean before the police and surveillance state. On that point, I'd have to agree. Then the next one is a quote, "The rest of the country needs to learn from the attacks. Look, we live in a dangerous world. We know there are people who want to take away our freedoms. New Yorkers probably know that as much, if not more, than anybody else." Unquote. So once again, I have a few problems with this. The rest of the country needs to learn from the attacks. Yes, the rest of the country needs to learn that when martial law is declared, you lick the boot. And then once again, he talks to everyone like they're children. Look, we live in a dangerous world. And then I love this one. "We know there are people who want to take away our freedoms." And I'm not sure if this bomb blast in Boston has anything to do with taking away our freedoms, but I do know that this sounds like the government is actually smarter than us, because, you know, they keep saying that the terrorists hate us for our freedoms. So if our own government takes away all our freedoms, then the terrorists won't hate us anymore. So I understand how that works. And then New Yorkers probably know that as much, if not more, than anybody else. Hey, tell that to the people in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, where daily there are bombings that dwarf the one in Boston every single day. So, but I feel for you. I do. And then we go on to the next one. Quote, we have to understand in the world going forward, we're going to have more cameras and that kind of stuff. That's good in some sense, but it's different from what we are used to. Unquote. So what we have here is that we have to understand, we have to get with it, that we're going to have cameras, and there's going to be more of them, and of course that kind of stuff. And we know what he means when he says that kind of stuff. Everything else besides the cameras, the eavesdropping, all the militarization of the police, and everything that goes along with it. And it is different from what we are used to, but he's saying that, yes, you better get used to it. Then we go on to the next one. Quote, it really says something bad about us that we have to do it. But our obligation, first and foremost, is to keep our kids safe in schools. First and foremost, to keep you safe if you go to a sporting event. First and foremost, it is to keep you safe if you walk down the streets or go into our parks. We cannot let the terrorists put us in a situation where we can't do these things. And the ways to do that is to provide what we think is an appropriate level of protection. So first of all, he finishes with an appropriate level of protection. And I guess that means shutting down an entire metropolitan city and putting it under martial law and then searching house to house with a large paramilitary force. So to get one or two guys. So yeah, that's an appropriate level of protection. And but let's go back to the beginning. It really says something bad about us that we have to do it. I'm not even sure what that means. And then he wants to, keep us safe. But this fear of every event, the ratio of events where people are terrorized are so minimal in the grand scheme of things. To instill this kind of fear of every single mundane event of our daily lives is really not fruitful. And then as far as feeling safe walking down the streets, I don't know, you might want to talk about the New York Police Department about that, how safe people feel walking down the streets in New York and other major metropolitan areas when there's police around. And then he goes on to say we cannot let the terrorists put us in a situation where we can't do these things, when that's exactly what he's doing. The terrorists and the forces that be have put us in a situation where we can't do these things. He's spreading the very fear to do those things and then saying that we have to be careful that the terrorists won't want us to do those things. And, of course, applying that protection is the important thing. So then let's get on to the last two. And this is particularly relevant because, of course, being a rich asshole like Mayor Bloomberg, he also is a hypocrite. And he brings that up in his next two quotes. Quote, attacks shouldn't be used as an excuse to persecute certain religions and groups, unquote, where Mayor Bloomberg, of course, was overseeing the New York Police Department, overseeing the Muslim community in New York and targeting them for their potential involvement in terrorism, thus labeling the entire Muslim community in New York as potential terrorists. So that's why this next quote, it just puts icing on the cake. Quote, what we can't do is let the protection get in the way of us enjoying our freedoms. You still want to let people practice their religion, no matter what that religion is. And I think one of the great dangers here is going and categorizing anybody from one religion as a terrorist. That's not true. That would let the terrorists win. That's what they want us to do, unquote. So, first of all, nice bit of a very expensive shoe in your mouth there, Mr. Michael Bloomberg. Hypocrisy on a level that we're used to from our public officials, so nothing shocking. And but then to finish it up with that would let the terrorists win. That's what they want us to do. And well, he did it. So I guess the terrorists won, Mr. Mayor Michael Bloomberg. So there you have it, a blow by blow. I just had to comment on this because this is an archetype of a inept politician. somebody who spews nonsense, uses a lot of catchphrases of the day, like people who want to take away our freedoms, blah, 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 and getting people used to the security state, and someone who is wealthy and out of touch, and somebody who uses condescending phrasing, talks down to people as if they're children, which is fair enough, I suppose, but nonetheless, this is, to me, political opportunism at its worst, and he's using this event to gear us up for the next step in this agenda, surveillance and police state, and more civil liberties to be lost soon, I'm sure. I'm used to Lydia. Don't you be one too. And don't be a stupid dickhead asshole like Mayor Michael Bloomberg either.